I never planned on becoming the default childcare provider for my entire extended family. It started innocently enough during my senior year of high school when my older sister Melissa had her first baby. As the youngest of 4 siblings and the only one still living at home, I was the natural choice to help out occasionally while finishing school. "Just for a few hours on Saturday," Melissa had pleaded. "The babysitter canceled, and we haven't had a date night in months." How could I say no? My nephew Ethan was adorable, and I genuinely enjoyed spending time with him. Plus, Melissa offered me $40 for the evening. Not a fortune, but decent pocket money for a high school student in 2019. The problem began when those occasional requests became weekly expectations, and when the rest of my family noticed how good I was with children. By the time I started community college that fall, my brother Mark's wife was pregnant with twins, and my cousin Jen, who lived nearby, had a 3-year-old with another on the way. Suddenly, I wasn't just Aunt Allie who helped out sometimes. I was the family's childcare solution. "You're so good with kids, Allie," my mother would say whenever I expressed hesitation about watching someone's children. "They're family. Family helps family." That guilt-inducing mantra became the soundtrack of my early 20s. While my friends were enjoying college life, building their careers, or traveling, I was spending most evenings and weekends juggling toddlers, preparing snacks, and changing diapers, almost always for free. "We're a little tight this month," became the standard explanation when I would gently remind my siblings that my time had value. "We'll make it up to you next time." Next time never came with compensation. Just more requests and increasingly complex childcare situations. Mark's twins were diagnosed with mild sensory processing disorders, requiring special attention and care. My cousin Jen's second child was colicky and would scream for hours. My oldest brother David and his wife moved back to town with their 3 school-aged kids, who needed help with homework and transportation to various activities. By 22, I was juggling a full college course load, a part-time job at the campus library, and approximately 25 to 30 hours per week of unpaid childcare for 7 different children across 3 households. The few times I attempted to establish boundaries, the response was swift and harsh. "Me can't afford a real babysitter," Melissa would say, despite her husband's recent promotion and their new SUV. "This is what family does," my mother would remind me, though I noticed she was rarely volunteering her own time. "You don't even have kids or a real career yet," Mark once said dismissively. "It's not like your time is as valuable as ours." That comment stung the most because I was trying to build a career. My education was taking longer than planned because I could only manage part-time enrollment while balancing everything else. My dream of becoming an occupational therapist seemed to be slipping further away with each passing semester. The breaking point came during finals week of my second-to-last semester. I had made it clear to everyone that I needed this particular week free from childcare duties to study for critical exams. "I've marked it on the calendar months in advance," I told my family during our Sunday dinner in early December. "Please make other arrangements for December 14th through 20th. They all nodded in agreement, and I felt relief wash over me. Finally, my education was being prioritized. Until my phone rang at 6:30 a.m. on December 15th. "Allie, thank God you answered," Melissa's panicked voice came through the line. "The twins' daycare just called with a lice outbreak, so they're closed. And I have a huge client presentation this morning that I cannot miss. Can you come over and watch them until Mark gets home around 4? "Melissa, we talked about this. It's finals week, and I have an exam at 2 p.m. that counts for 40% of my grade." "It's just until 2 then," she countered. "Please, Allie, we're desperate." Before I could respond, she added, "Mom said you'd do it. She's already told Mark you'd be there by 7:30. That familiar knot of obligation tightened in my chest. They had discussed this among themselves, determined I would do it, and were only calling to inform me, not to ask. I heard children crying in the background and felt my resolve weakening. "Fine," I sighed. But I absolutely must leave by 1:15 to make it to campus for my exam. You're a lifesaver, Melissa gushed. And I could hear the relief in her voice. The kids already had breakfast, so this should be easy this morning. They were not easy. 4-year-old twins with lice are never easy, especially when one has sensory issues that make treatment particularly traumatic. By noon, I was exhausted from comforting screaming children, disinfecting the house, and trying to squeeze in study time during brief moments of calm. At 1:10, I texted Mark, leaving in 5 minutes for my exam. 3 minutes later, my phone rang. "Hey, slight change of plans," Mark said without preamble. "Meeting's running long. Can you stay until 5 instead?" "No, Mark, I literally cannot. I have a final exam at 2 o'clock that I've been telling everyone about for weeks." "Can't you reschedule it? This is an emergency?" I felt something snap inside me, the tether of family obligation that had been stretched to its breaking point for years. "No, I cannot reschedule a final exam. Your childcare issues are not more important than my education, which I have put on hold repeatedly for everyone else's needs. I'm leaving at 1:15 as planned. You need to come home now." "Allie, don't be selfish. We can't just—" I interrupted, my voice steady despite the anger bubbling beneath the surface. "I'll set up a movie for the kids before I leave. I'm turning my phone off during the exam. Figure it out." I hung up, my hands shaking, but my mind suddenly clear. For the first time in years, I had chosen myself over the constant demands of my family. I did exactly as I said, set up the twins with their favorite movie, left a note with instructions, and walked out the door at precisely 1:15. I turned my phone off and drove to campus, pushed the family drama from my mind, and focused on my exam. When I turned my phone back on 3 hours later, I had 27 missed calls, 46 text messages, and 9 voicemails, not just from Mark and Melissa, but from my mother, my other siblings, and even my aunt and uncle. The collective outrage was staggering. "You abandoned the children. How could you be so irresponsible? We've always been there for you, and this is how you repay us." The last message was from my mother. "Family dinner is canceled this Sunday. We need time to process your actions." I sat in my car in the campus parking lot and laughed until tears streamed down my face. Not from humor, but from the absurdity of it all. Canceled Sunday dinner was meant to be a punishment, but it felt like a reprieve. That evening, I made a decision. I drafted a lengthy email to my entire family outlining my new boundaries. I would no longer provide free childcare. My rate was now $18 an hour, the same as professional sitters in our area. I required 48 hours notice for any childcare request. I had complete veto power without needing to explain why. No childcare during exam periods or important work shifts. No exceptions. I concluded with, "I love my nieces and nephews, but I also need to prioritize my education and future. I hope you can respect these boundaries." The response was nuclear. My phone exploded with angry calls and texts, accusing me of being selfish, money-hungry, and not understanding what family means. My mother called in tears, saying she'd raised me better than this. I held firm. For the next 3 weeks, I declined every childcare request, citing my new policies. When family members showed up unannounced with children in tow, I refused to answer the door. I blocked numbers temporarily when the harassment became too intense. The most surprising ally emerged in my sister-in-law, David's wife Rachel. She called me privately after the initial explosion. "I want you to know I think you're right," she said quietly. "They've all taken advantage of you for years. David and I have always offered to pay you, but we were told you preferred to do it for free as family helping family." I was stunned. "I never said that, ever." "I figured as much," Rachel sighed. "Look, we still need childcare sometimes, and we'd prefer it be you since the kids adore you. We're happy to pay your rate and respect your boundaries." That conversation was the first crack in the family's united front against me. Over the next 2 months, as I maintained my boundaries despite significant pressure, other family members slowly began to adjust to the new reality. Melissa was the first to cave, offering to pay my rate when her regular sitter canceled last minute. Mark held out longer, but eventually realized that no other sitter would handle his twins' special needs with the same care and patience I provided. My cousin Jen, struggling financially but honest about it, suggested a reduced rate in exchange for homemade meals, which I accepted. 6 months after drawing my line in the sand, I graduated with my associate degree and was accepted into the occupational therapy program I'd been working toward for years. The Sunday before I was to start the program, my mother reinstated family dinner and asked me to come. I arrived warily, unsure what to expect. To my surprise, there was a cake on the table with "Congratulations, Allie," written in blue icing. "We're proud of you," my mother said, her voice containing a note of genuine recognition I hadn't heard before. "And we're sorry. We took advantage of your kindness for too long." The apology wasn't perfect, and old habits didn't disappear overnight. There were still occasional attempts to circumvent my boundaries or guilt me into exceptions. But something fundamental had shifted. My time and aspirations were finally being acknowledged as valuable. Today, 2 years later, I'm halfway through my OT program and maintaining a healthy balance with family obligations. I still babysit my nieces and nephews regularly, now on my terms and with fair compensation. More importantly, my relationships with my siblings have evolved, from exploitation to mutual respect. The irony isn't lost on me that setting firm boundaries ultimately led to healthier family dynamics. By refusing to show up when they treated me as an obligation rather than a person with my own life and goals, I forced a reckoning that was long overdue. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your family is to stop letting them take you for granted. And sometimes you have to stop showing up to be truly seen.